Okay, so I'm now going to begin the webinar. My name is Ash Parmar. I'm a dentist from a practice called Smile Design by Ash. It's a private practice in Chigwell. And the topic of discussion today is about the three-shape trio scanner and why I chose to buy the three-shape scanner. So just brief background about our practice. It was a brand new practice which I set up as a squat in 2011. It's a fully private practice, and it's also a referral practice. We have a lot of dentists are referred to us from around the country. It's a very nice practice in the sense that it's aesthetically done up very nicely. It looks more like a spa rather than a dental practice. And we've got state-of-the-art technology, equipment, and materials, and try and offer patients the very highest level of dental care we can. My areas of strength, or the areas I enjoy doing dentistry, are smile makeovers, advanced restorative cases like wear cases, erosion cases. I also enjoy restoring implant dentistry. We use the Straumann system. I have an implantologist that comes once a month to our practice where we place implants. And once they're healed up, then I do normally do the restorative work. We also have a soft and a hard tissue laser, so I'm passionate about laser dentistry, and also fibers in conjunction with composite. This is minimally invasive dentistry, and it's something that I feel a lot of dentists underuse in normal practice. I also enjoy making dentures, like normal full dentures or partial dentures. I also have my academy. There's a academy with Ash, and I do some training courses. There's a one-day course I do called Achieving Success in Private Dentistry. There's a 3-day course where I do a live smile makeover. We just finished that last weekend. About 20 dentists watched me do that, and it was really good fun. And then I also have my main signature 8-day hands-on course. So in our practice, technology is something that we use day in, day out. By the way, if there's any questions, you can pop them up on the question and answer thing. But I'd like to answer them all at the end if that's okay with everyone. So back to the technology. So T-scan is one of the things I have in our practice. It's called TechScan. If you wanted to Google it, it's TEK scan. And it's a fantastic tool. Probably, I think, the best occlusion software technology in the world to look at occlusion. If you want good long-lasting dentistry, then T-scan is a great thing to consider. We also have OPG and a cone beam CT scanner. And as I mentioned before, we have two types of lasers, a soft tissue diode laser and a hard tissue laser. One of the uses of the hard tissue laser is to actually do osseous recontouring. That means do crown lengthening non-surgically without raising a flap. We have intraoral cameras, and we also use digital photographs for all of our new patients. So in terms of getting a scanner, my journey began last year, exactly this time last year. And the main reason I was thinking of getting a scanner was obviously I'd heard a lot about scanners and I had some friends who had bought a scanner. So in the back of my mind, I knew that digital dentistry is the way forward and it's really something I should be looking at. But sometimes we just keep putting these things off. But in 2017, there were a few remakes I had to do. These were crowns that I'd fitted, which aesthetically looked fantastic. Labially, everywhere, they fitted beautifully well. But then when I was looking at radiographs, routine maintenance with it, recall radiographs later on, I noticed that some of my crowns interproximally weren't fitting properly. Maybe they were difficult impressions or subgingival margins or whatever. So then I knew deep down I have to start looking at some of my sort of technical aspects and the scanning technology in a little bit more detail. So that's really my personal stimulus, feeling that time has now come to add a scanner to our practice. So at that time, there were two companies I really looked at. There was iTero and there was 3Shape. And I went to the digital trade show. So I think that's a great place for dentists to start. If you're interested in getting a scanner, it's really important to go to a digital symposium where, and there are more and more of these days, by the way, because dentists is a hot topic and I'm sure they're going to do more seminars and courses to do with this. I also had some demonstrations. So from these two respective companies, I contacted the reps and they came around to our practice and showed me their particular scanners, and I spent some time, maybe a couple of hours with me, my associates and our team, just to literally understand more about the digital scanners. I also talked to some dentists I respected and friends or peers who had used scanners for a while. So this is again a great way to get more of an insight into good scanner to get. So this was the sort of background behind why I started. Once I made the decision to go for the Trios 3-shape scanner, at that time I then had to make this next decision. Do I go for a laptop version or do I go for the cart version? So at that time there were two things available. There was a laptop version which was a lot simpler to sort of handle and size-wise. But because we had 3 treatment rooms, I figured that the cart version would be better because we could move it around from one room to another, and it just looked more robust to me as a whole entity. Then the other decision I had to make is the type of the handle to have. Do you go for a straight handle, like the one on the second diagram there, or do you go for the one which is like a pen grip, like the T-shaped one? I personally preferred the straight one, which is held in the hand, rather than the T-shape, and I think that's the more popular one with most dentists. And then the final decision was really whether I go for a wired version or a wireless version. Now, at that time, this time last year, the wireless version was pretty new, it was like brand new. And there was a £5,000 additional surcharge to the purchase fee had I gone for that. So I weighed up all the pros and cons, and I personally decided to go for the cart version with the wire, so the wired version. Because I was just a little bit apprehensive that maybe not enough research and technology had been done into the wireless version. So then we actually purchased the scanner through Schein because their service was excellent for me, and they actually organized all the financing for me. So I didn't really have to pay any money up front. We just did a finance plan. I simply had to sign a couple of documents, and everything was very seamlessly arranged for me. The actual scanner delivery took maybe 2 months, so that was the thing I had to be very patient about, because once I made the decision, I was very keen to have it, but that just seemed to take a little bit longer. So the questions that dentists tend to ask when you're buying a scanner, these are the common questions. Is this the right time to buy? Is this the right time to buy? The next question, is there a new design coming out? If you look at iPhones or mobile phones, whatever you buy, you and I know that within 6 months or 1 year, there will probably be a newer version, and the old version will start to get outdated. The next question is, if you buy a scanner, what are you going to use it for? What are the uses? So I'd like to share with you soon the sort of things that I use the scanner for. And then, which company do I buy? And why do I want to go for that particular company? So these are all the sort of important questions I'm sure they're going through your minds if you're thinking about buying a digital scanner. 3Shape, in my opinion, is probably the leading company in the world for digital dental scanners. They have a very big team in the research and development area, so their R&D is high, and they take very good feedback from key opinion leaders. Sorry, I'm very quickly on this on. Sorry about that. So the 3Shape scanner is I think a very good one, and start again. So 3Shape or Trios as a company, I think it is the leading company in terms of research and development, certainly from my experience so far. And that's one of the key things that I chose it, because of the opportunities and the actual newer developments that they're making. And even now, they're constantly improving things all the time. So, as I said, I've had the scanner for up to about a year. So let me share with you some of the things I've done with the scanner and the main uses so far. So, when we have a new patient, we do a very comprehensive dental assessment. This can take anything up to 2 hours to do a comprehensive evaluation in our practice. One of the things I'm just absolutely loving about the scanner is that we take a 3D scan for the patient when they come as a new patient baseline scan. And this is very, very good to help explain to the person some of the problems in their mouth, things that are going wrong, and it's very easy to explain apart from radiographs or photographs and other records. The great thing about the 3D scanner is that it's in 3D, so when you show the patient on the screen, you can sort of move the teeth around, you can have a look from the inside, you can look from underneath, and it's just really very cool, and patients are really impressed with this technology. So that to me is, I think, one of the big uses in a private practice is the ability to co-discover and share with the patient the key concerns present in their mouth. If you do photographs, that's only a two-dimensional way. If you do an intraoral camera, that's only going to show one or two teeth. Whereas with this, you're looking at everything in great detail. The second use, which is obvious, is to do high-quality restorative treatment, which is lab-related, indirect restorations, but having to avoid impressions, or at least if it's quadrant or smaller cases, not needing the impression case in the mouth. So for crowns, posterior inlays, onlays, bridges, I'm finding the routine use of scanners is very good. At the moment, we do quite a lot of smile maker or bigger restorative cases where we're doing 8 or 10 unit cases. So I'm still doing analog impressions as well as digital impressions. We're actually doing a sort of in-house study between me and my technician to see how the restorations are when they're made digitally and how they actually correlate on the analog model. And the initial sort of results show that it's fairly similar. You could take one restoration of the digital model, put it on the analog, and it's pretty accurate. But overall, I'm finding that the accuracy levels of the restoration is really increased, and I'm not happy, I think, these days with the digital version compared to some of the analog ones. The other thing is there was a big upgrade recently on my software, so that brought about some changes. And then when you have an upgrade, if it's just a small one, things move on seamlessly. If it's a bigger upgrade, as Trios has done recently with Reshape, then actually there's a lot more things you need learning, and then that's where training comes in. So that's the story so far. In the next few months, these are the sort of things I've got planned. Because as with any new computer, or if you buy something that's high-tech, sometimes there's a lot of potential with what you can actually do or use or offer. And it does actually take some time, I think, to master and become very confident and competent at all the uses of a scanner or a new piece of technology. So recently, there's a Henry Schein rep called Tom. I did some, I've had about 2 or 3 2-hour sessions of training with him at our practice, and he's introduced me to the implant studio. This looks like an amazing tool. Because we've got a cone beam CT scanner, then in theory, if I take a CT scan, and then I also take a digital scan, then we can sort of merge that information together, create 3D planning, and then create 3D models and surgical guides and lots of benefits from that. So that looks really exciting, but obviously it'll need more training for me to become very competent in that. So far, my implant sort of impressions or records have been with analog impressions. I normally make a special tray, like an open tray technique, and which we use normal Straumann impression groupings. But now I've had my training for the digital scan bodies. I'm really looking forward to start taking digital impressions for implants, and then actually comparing and seeing how easy or that particular approach is, and also looking at the accuracy of the final restorations of that. Also dentures. I mean, if you took a nice digital scan of the actual arch, then you can make very nice colboclonium dentures, and when you get a lot more skilled, I suppose, you could even do complete dentures with digital scanning. And then there's also a smile design module. So as a cosmetic dentist, this is obviously useful and very interesting for me to look at. And currently in my practice, the main way that I communicate smiles is, as I mentioned there, smile imaging. There's a company called Smile Imaging. You can go on smileimaging.com, and you will see that it's a tremendous software to show before and after of your cases and print a copy and let the patient have it. But using this smile design software with the Reshape can actually help you use your own technology in-house. I also like doing direct mock-ups. So it's a more traditional approach, but sometimes showing the patient live in their mouth. If it's a narrow smile, if someone's teeth are coming in, then you can actually add composite and show them how their smile will look if they actually went for a smile makeover. So direct mock-ups is a great technique also. And the third technique I use currently is where you do indirect mock-ups. So you can take some impressions and records, so a technician can make wax-ups, and then from that you can actually create a putty index into which you can put a material called Fluxatemp from DMG, put it straight into the mouth, and within 3 minutes you will see how the smile looks. That's called a trial smile. Yeah? So, although there are things I'm using, I'm actually excited to see how the smile design module develops and becomes easier and easier to use for dentists as the next 12 months unveil. The other thing is I've just had my latest software upgrade, like I mentioned. So the current thing that 3Shape have is something called Dental Desktop. And it's a fairly open platform where they're bringing all the new developments into that one particular platform. So there was some navigational training that I needed just to understand how that looks and how to go about doing that. I'm also using, like I said, a couple of good laboratories which are very confident and experienced using digital techniques. So it's important, I think, to try 1 or 2 different labs as well and get your experiences from the technicians, because we can get a lot of feedback from them and develop our journey in learning digital dentistry. The other exciting thing, I think, is being able to track cases. So say, for example, if you had a patient with wear problems, attrition and erosion, if someone else had periodontal problems and they're losing gums or bone and they're receiving gums, so you want to be able to track exactly how bad their situation is getting after a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. So using a new application that 3Shape are bringing out, then you'll be able to track and superimpose one scan on top of another and quickly show up the actual change in tissue, hard tissue or soft tissue. And this can be a very good motivational tool or an educational tool for the patient in terms of analyzing, say, wear cases. And the last slide on the right, that's just explaining that something new is coming soon. This is dynamic occlusion. So very soon with the 3Shape, we'll be able to look at lateral excursions and excursive movements rather than just a static interfusical occlusion. So really, this is going to be the end of the articulator and the start of digital articulators. So that's something exciting to look forward to. So there's some general tips from me. The first important thing is you're normally given one training session when you purchase a 3Shape scanner. They'll set it up for you. You can spend half a day or so with them. You get familiarized, take some scans with you and your staff. But the important thing is then get some more training sessions. Because I think just having one training session when you first set up is not really enough, because there's a lot more capacity to what the machine can do than meets the eye. The other thing is that sometimes as dentists, when we get new materials or new equipment, we're a little bit apprehensive about getting on using it. So the big tip is just crack on. Have some training session with your staff, do scans on each other as associates or whatever, and just get used to the scans. And if there's some things you're struggling with or some tips you need on how to move from one area to another or how to make the scan faster and more efficient, make some notes so that when your trainer next comes back in, you can carry on from where you left off and get some more tips. There's also lots and lots of online training resource and material. And as I mentioned to you, sometimes as a computer, if there's upgrades or things will happen, then you can expect some disruption. So for example, when we had the big upgrade, the software upgrade, there was a little sort of downtime, and there was some frustration as the thing was just settling in. But then Henry Schein's support was excellent. Within a day or two, they sorted it all out for me. So, as I mentioned, with articulators, we can use a semi-adjustable articulator when we're doing bigger cases and more advanced restorative treatment. But with the 3Shape scanner, this should be dynamic and it will move. The actual thing on the right is meant to move around, but in this presentation, this is locked in. But just take it from me that in a short space of time, we'll be able to have dynamic motion and occlusal morphology analysis from 3Shape. So now the big question is all about the accuracy of the impressions. So one manufacturer will claim their product is superior in trials than the other, but just to give you some of my practical tips. What we need to remember is that a scanner is really a camera. So when you've done your preps, it's really crucial that your marginal definition is very precise, That means your clinical technique has to be super good. You also need to use retraction cord and other mechanisms like soft tissue laser to do troughing, or maybe even something like Expasil from Kerr. But you've got to have very clear margins for the scanner to read the junction between the tooth and the margin. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, sometimes when there are subgingival preparations which are very difficult to identify, then I'm finding that even with the 3-shape scanner, sometimes I'm not quite getting the crisp definition of the margin. Because when I'm taking the scan, I'm looking at it and scanning and making it much bigger. Then sometimes it's hard for me to see the margin myself. Whereas if I took the cord out and then put some wash in there, and I personally use a putty and wash 2-stage impression technique, then you can obviously, the force of the putty will push the wash down the actual sulcus, and you'll get a very, very accurate impression. So I think the challenge for me is to have the confidence in the scanner and increasingly be less reliant on the impression technique, because we're all creatures of habit. Sometimes, what's been working for you for a while, or then you tend to carry on doing that. But essentially, the 3-shape scanner is probably one of the most accurate scanners on the market based on scientific research. So when you have the 3-shape scanner, there are lots of different apps and things in which you can get the patient more excited and involved. There's a Smile Design app, as I mentioned, and we'll have a little look at that in a short while. There's also a treatment simulator. So if you're doing Invisalign or certain aligners type of treatment, then you can orthodontically plan and show the patient very quickly. iTero is obviously linked with Invisalign, so they've got the best connection in terms of the speed and showing the patient the before and after. But 3Shape is also coming out with lots of innovative improvements in this area. As I mentioned, the Treos patient monitoring will be out very soon, and that will allow you to actually monitor and plan, as we mentioned. And then there's Orthodontic Studio, there's the Implant Studio, and there's a Design Studio. So there's lots of applications in terms of design, and you've got to make a decision how much you want to get involved with that, doing things yourself, or you just want to take the scan and send it to your technician and let them worry about everything. So the concept is really, when you take a new scan for your patient, you first need to enter the data on the computer, on the scanner. You then set up the plan of what you really want to record, whether you're doing some crowns or veneers or just a grade or something. You then obviously do the scan, and once the scan is done, you then design it. So CAD stands for Computer Aided Design. So using the computer technology, we can zoom in, contrast it, make it black and white, and the actual definition and the ability to visualize is much, much better. So you can actually have a high level of accuracy in the designing of the margins and where the actual margins are. And then CAM stands for Computer Aided Manufacturing. So once you've designed what you want to actually create, what type of restoration, then obviously using computers, then you can mill or print the actual restoration properly. And again, this is revolutionizing the work that technicians are doing and saving time. Okay? STL is really the file that we send, and it's stereolithography, that's what it stands for. So I bought the cart version, as I mentioned to you, around about November last year, but about 2 months later, 3Shape launched this thing, which is the 3Shape Move. I was a little bit gutted, I suppose, because it's like I mentioned earlier, when do you actually go in and buy something? So if I'd known that a new one is coming out within a month or two, I would probably have waited and then bought this one. So I'm happy with what I've got, but I suppose when you see something new that's come out which is designed better, then you do feel that, I wish I'd waited. Okay, so a little bit about the Move. It's ergonomically much better designed, I think. It's got the ability to flex the upper arm and bring it right near the patient. It's a full HD touchscreen, and the scanner, which is wireless, is compatible with other scanners that you may have already. The computer is actually much improved. So my understanding is that this is now an in-house built computer rather than using another external computer. And it's very lightweight and easy to cart and move around. So actually, this I think is now very well designed, and any dentist now considering buying a 3-shape scanner would be a bit wrong, I think, to buy the laptop version, which is more wires and fiddly, or the cart version, which I'm sure 3-shape will gradually phase out in preference to this move which they've created. As you can see here, it's a very good ergonomic design. You can bring it close to the patient, and once a scan is done, as I mentioned previously, it's fantastic to just show the patient there and then what you can see and what's going on. So some of the apps, as I mentioned, is the Smile Design app, the Treatment Simulator app, and the Patient Monitoring app. So let's now look at this Smile Design app. So one of the things you can do is take a scan for your patient. You can then email it to your patient, so they can actually very quickly download an app of Apple or an Android version, and then once they get that sent with a password, they can enter and they can actually see their own scan, and they can manipulate it just how you would on your touchscreen. They can then take an image of their smile, smiling, and then you can design their smile properly for them, and you can send them the before and after imaging once it's been done. So let's have a look at this video now, which will show us how this works. So this Smile Design version is available now, and with a little bit of training, you can get your patients excited and you can show them what's possible, and this will really help with case acceptance, I think. Some practices do have orthodontic treatment, like short-term orthodontics, so with Invisalign or similar systems. So again, the Treos Treatment Simulator can be a great guide or tool for you to help show patients what's going on. Let's have a look at this other video now, second video. Okay, that's good. So I know if you're doing Invisalign, you can use ClinCheck, but that sometimes takes a little bit of time to get back the information. But like I said to you, with this orthodontic module, you can actually do stuff on the Treos as well. The patient monitoring, this can be great for wear cases, and this is something that's increasing a lot. I'm finding a lot of youngsters having a lot of fizzy rings, alcohol pops, there could be acid reflux, anorexia. All these type of conditions can help or do contribute towards erosion and damage. Then if there's bruxism and grinding, then teeth are wearing down. But the question is, when do you step in, or how do you convince or explain to the patient that this is actually, harmful if they carry this, leaving it, and you either watch it or ignore it. So patient monitoring is the capability of actually understanding exactly the rate of problem. So we're going to look at another quick video as well, yeah? So as you can see, that 3Shape is a company where they're very proactive. I mean, as their key opinion leaders around the world guide them that, you know, this is what we want to improve, or this is what dentists want, or this is what we're after, then I think they're really fast at making the developments and the changes and bringing it out for dentists to share and learn and use as well. So that's really the cool thing about the 3Shape family, yeah? Okay, so let's move on. So now, the only thing about digital dentistry is if you move into it, you've got the flexibility and the choice as to how much you embrace it, how much you do, and how much you let the technician do. But based on market research, currently, it's sort of evident that about 7% of dentists will want to do things in-house. So you might have a very big laboratory, you will take the scans, you will design the restorations yourself, you will mill them or print them, manufacture them, finish them, and fit them. About 34% of dentists would choose to send it to the lab. I'd be in that category at the moment. Some dentists would send to the lab, and they'd also have a 3D printer in the practice to do certain things in-house. So with increased knowledge, and I suppose time as well, because we have to think, do you want to be actually treating patients, or do you want to be doing some lab-related work and making things? On a personal level, I'm much more sort of keen on working with patients and talking and doing treatments rather than doing any type of lab-related stuff. So I think this is really a personal choice in terms of the investment you make in digital equipment and technology. But the thing you really need is just a scanner, the Move scanner, and thereafter other things can be optional and you can build in as years go on. So what do I use a scanner for? So as I mentioned before, single crown, a bridge, an inlay, these are now very standard for me. I'll literally get this Optrogate in. So Optrogate is the thing you get from Ivoclar. You get a small one and a regular size. It's best just to get the Optrogate in straight away to isolate the teeth and take the soft tissues away. And then you literally scan the lower, scan the upper, record the bite, add some more information, check everything properly, and send it digitally. So it's really almost like an email. The information just goes out, and you know when the lab has got it, because on the bottom there'll be a message saying information sent. So even bridges. So I'm now starting to do conventional bridges, tooth supported. And as I mentioned, I've just actually got my implant scan bodies. So I'm now looking forward to start testing that out as well. But in due course, I think I'll be taking more and more digital impression for implant solutions. Post and core. I've not really done a post and core using the scanner. That's something I need to learn more and go into. And again, I'm ready now to do my first venture with the actual scanning techniques. Now, in the past, we were taught at Guy's Hospital, so I had very good training in denture making, and part of me almost wants to make it hand finished and take the impressions and do border welding and everything. But of course, at some point, you've got to test out the digital techniques as well. You can make clear aligners from the actual scans, and you can also make sleep appliances as well. So there's a whole range of dental uses and applications for us in dentistry. And as I mentioned, some dentists will actually scan, design, and produce in-house in a very simple integrated workflow. And the advantage is that you're going to save time for the patient. They won't have to come back for the fix, less repeat local anesthetics, and the experience perhaps is better. That's a plus point from the patient point of view. Now, the implant studio, if anyone's placing implants, I strongly urge them to have a demonstration. Even if you go to a digital symposium, try out this implant studio and see the benefits of it and how it works. Really looks to be amazing, and it helps you design the actual implant situation from a prosthetic point of view first, so you're very clear where the restoration will go, and then you can plan the whole case backwards from there. In fact, beginning with the end in mind. So this is also quite good. And there's a lot of orthodontic sort of options as well. Now, one of the interesting things is Align technology, that's Invisalign. They've obviously had the sort of upper hand. It's a very well-known brand. I mean, everyone knows Invisalign. Even patients are now coming asking for it. So in terms of marketing, it is like the big brand. All right. So as I mentioned, that if their patents are running out, then what this means is that there'll be a lot more options for people to consider in terms of trying other companies out, and laboratories will be getting into making aligners. So I think it's a case of watch this space. There's so many different companies and people ready to get into the aligner technology because it's a big field. I mean, a lot of patients are now having orthodontics, aligning the teeth, simple bleaching, and then bonding. So it's something interesting just to watch the space and see what happens. So there's also a big range of new mills and 3D printers, which are all integrated with the Trios. And these are just some of the brands that are there. And so as again technology moves on, you'll find that the quality of the printing and the price will come down. So the quality will get better and the prices will come down. So this is also something that to bear in mind, that when you buy something new, like the first mobile phone that came out, I'm sure it cost a hell of a lot. And it probably was a big brick type thing. And now today, it's a lot smaller, a lot more powerful. So in the next 1, 2, 3 years, a lot of progress will be made with printers, I'm sure as well. So if you get a digital scanning or scanning system, you have to be aware of two words, like an open or closed system. You ideally want to go for something which is an open system. And the advantage of that is that a lot of different companies can talk to each other, and you can use the flexibility or versatility is there. So the Trios, for example, can work with a lot of different implant systems, some of the best ones like Straumann and Nobel Biocare. If you look at the labs, most labs or many labs are going into digital work, so that is a taken as well. the milling machines, some of the best ones are by Ivoclar or Formlabs. So these are all companies working very closely in the developments as 3Shape are moving on. Another interesting facet or area is the practice management systems. So we use software of excellence, but in due course it would be nice if things were integrated and the software practice management system can also work side by side with, say, the 3Shape information. So I think as we move on through demand or innovation or collaboration with companies, we will find that things will get a lot more better for dentists. So really, if you're today in 2018 thinking of buying a scanner, what's available to you today in the world of 3Shape or Trios? You first have to decide whether you want a wireless or wired one still. I suppose that choice is still there. In the first scanner, you can also go for a black and white one, but I almost know no one who's got a black and white scanner. I'll really strongly recommend you get a color one, because you can look at the black and white module in there, but from a color point of view, it's going to look so much better when you demonstrate and show patients. I'm very confident that the pen grip is the better grip, but obviously if you have a certain preference and you think that a handle one's going to be better for you, then you better test out on the model. See how your wrist moves around and how you prefer it. And then on the right side, you can see the actual setup. You've got three options. The one on the bottom is a cart, which is what I've got. Again, it's a nice option. But if I was buying something today, 100% it would be the Move, because of the design, the lightweightness of it, and all the latest technology, everything has gone into that. So that is the current version for 3Shape. But I would definitely ask the actual person selling it to you, do you know of any newer technology? What's happening right now? So I notice a question is coming up, but I'll have a look at that later and answer it in a short while. Just bear with me. So moving on, why 3Shape? I think it's an impressive technology. It's very easy to use. When I had my demonstration, I found it easy to use, easy to apply. I mean, I'm not like a computer geek or anything like that. So to have something that's easy for me to understand makes my life good. It's also a big, big plus point for patients. A lot of patients of ours gag. And if you've got a person who gags and needs a lot of work done, then that's a major objection for them. So without a scanner in your practice, you'll be struggling doing that case clinically if you needed indirect restorations made. So that's another big plus point, is you can take on patients who gag and do the scans, and it'll make your and the patient's life much, much easier. The other thing is that your standard and quality of dentistry will increase significantly. Apart from making magnification loops, which helps, the scanner is like really magnifying things. Because right now, what I'll do is I'll do a prep, I'll take a scan, and then I'll bring that up on the computer, have a look at it. You can zoom in, turn it into the black and white versions. You'll have a really good look at the contrast. And this will show you how your margins are. You've got other tools within the software which allow you to quickly identify if there's any undercuts, to what degree the undercut there is. It'll tell you also the occlusal clearance. When someone's biting, it'll tell you exactly how much tightness or space there is and where you need to make another minor adjustment. So you can then quickly go back, make these modifications to your preps, and then just scan over that again and collect the new information. So just today, for example, I had my main patient was a 7-unit bridge. There's a gentleman who needs a transitional bridge from the upper right one, the upper left 4 till the 7. So this was quite a long span bridge. And literally, I prepped the teeth, and then I took the analog impression, and then I also took a 3Shape sort of scan. But before I took the analog, I took the scan. And it very clearly showed me that there was a slight undercut on the molar at the back compared to the actual anterior incisor. So I could then align it, check it, make a couple of minor adjustments before I took finished my final scan off, and then I took an analog just as a backup. So for restorative dentistry, checking interocclusal space, accuracy of margins, just the standard of dentistry is going to go up a lot. That's a big, big advantage, I think. So once you buy a new piece of equipment or technology, you want to get better at it. So I think the actual 3Shape community. There's a website on the bottom, community3shape.com. The actual online training is phenomenal. There are Facebook groups, there are online communities of dentists that use this technology, and there will always be a case, or if there's a problem, someone to help you out, or the actual company that supplied it to, in this case Henry Schein, they've got the backup support and training facilities as well. 3Shape themselves, they've got their own training base, and I've noticed they're increasingly running more courses, and typically these are useful for dentists who have bought their scanner. They're sort of getting off the start, the kickstart to get going with it, but then suddenly they're realizing they need more tips or advice or how to do the best for their patients. So using the training courses that 3Shape offers also, I think, very useful in moving on with the different modules that they offer. So as I mentioned, that the progress is being made and it's still early days, but if you've got a actual in-house plan of having your PCs networked properly, and you then take the scans, you can then use it for consultations, you can then have another site where you can do the designing, you can have a little lab area where things are made. So all this can be impressively planned out in your practice, so that you ultimately, ideally as dentists, we want the full integration between the practice management system and also the dental desktop, which is a new software that 3Shape have made. I've just recently started to send patient emails of their scans, but this is, like I said, fantastic, because you take the scan, you educate them and co-discover at the assessment or the initial appointment, and what better way but to send that scan via email. So by that evening when they've got home, they've got their scan on their iPhone, they can play around, have a good look at it, and they can actually digest all that you told them, and they'll begin to own their own problems more. So one of the things that patients often don't know is how bad their mouth is or what the level of problems are. And it's very hard to explain to people just with a couple of pictures, whereas with this way, it's 3D, it's their mouth, it's on their iPhone, they can look at it in their own time, and it's just really cool, I think. You also need backup. So with the Trios, they offer very easy backups. At least that's taken care of, and you don't need to worry about that. And as I mentioned, this dental desktop is a new thing that they brought out, and certainly if you buy one today, that will come preset, I'm sure, with the dental desktop. So there's some standard desktop settings, and then depending on various additional products you may buy, like if you get the Implant Studio, then you'll have additional things onto the actual platform for you to use. As I mentioned, it's an open system. You can communicate with law laboratories, and you can also use a wide range of materials. My personal preference is Emax, so 95% of my restorations are Emax. I also use metal porcelain. Sometimes I will use zirconia. So depending on the need of that patient or the situation clinically, we design the restorations based on the different types of materials. And there's a whole plethora of materials out there. There's lots more new things coming out. So it's a constantly evolving change, and therefore you need a company that's going to really be at the forefront and integrate these things. Once you buy your scanner, naturally you want to promote it and the benefits of it. So I'm just going to give you a brief thing to end with on the marketing of a scanner and what to do, or certainly what I've done in my practice. And then I'll end with a video that I created in-house. I've created a couple of videos, one to train dentists and one for patient use. And you can use that on social media. You can put that video on your website. But really, these 4 tips I'm giving you is, number 1 is you must have a fantastic website, because these days, whatever you're buying in life, you're going to look online first. Whether you're going on holiday somewhere in Thailand, whether you want to buy a new kitchen item or something, people all do all their research online. So the same thing applies to dentistry. If you're looking at implants, veneers, more advanced restorative work, you're going to be looking at someone's website. So if you show some things on there to do with your 3Shape scanner or how progressive you are, then I think they'll look positive or give you an added benefit. For the younger patients, social media is an increasing big thing. Instagram, Facebook used to be very big. These days, Instagram seems to be taking the lead. But you know, sometimes as we get older as dentists, and if we're not familiar with these techniques, then you need to use companies that can help you and do this for you. So you have to allocate a budget towards your marketing for that. You can create simple little videos, because these days we know that for online searches, video is really preferred by Google, and it's a fast, quick way of communicating by making short videos. And then personally, the word of mouth is the best way. So if you've done a scan on someone and they're really impressed with that, then you can ask them to mention this to other people, their friends or family members. You can offer a free scan, initial scan for anyone as a new patient consultation. That's really great. You can have an open evening whereby you can market locally in a magazine or social media and things. And when new patients come, you can offer a free scan and then a quick consultation. If they're interested in going ahead with dentistry, you can then schedule them in for further full assessments. Adverts, you can consider placing an ad in the local magazine or in the local newspaper. This can also bring about additional business for you. And finally, there are a lot of networking groups. For example, I belong to 2 local business networking groups. So in any 1 week, I'm in front of about 35 new businesses, or not new, but businesses that I know well. And it's lots of opportunities for getting new clients or new patients from that. So this is just a very brief summary of marketing, because once you made a massive investment in your new technology, then not only do you want to benefit from it, but you've got to start paying off for it, and you need more new patients of the right type to use that technology on. So I'm now going to end with a video, which is like a short video which I created. Have a look at this and see what you think, and we'll then answer any questions at the end. Are you scared of having an impression done because you're worried it will make you gag during the procedure? Are you worried about not being able to swallow and being in control during your treatment? Are you worried about the condition of your teeth? My name is Ash Parmar, and we have a private dental practice in Chigwell, Essex called Smile Design by Ash. Every day, I help to change people's lives and make them smile. At Smile Design by Ash, we are proud to be one of the few practices that have a digital scanner. This machine, called Trios, is one of the latest pieces of equipment in the dental industry. Apart from taking photographs or x-rays, this is a special scanner that can take an image of your jaws and teeth in 3D. This camera can take up to 3,000 images per second. And the big advantage for patients is they don't have to have impressions in their mouth with all the dental gunk within the mouth and keep still for 6 to 7 minutes. So if you want to have a comfortable experience and have long-lasting dentistry, then this scanner is a fantastic new way to help you. The Trios 3D scanner is used in a number of ways in our practice. The first important way is when I see a new patient. I can take a 3D scan of their teeth, and it will show the patient the condition of their teeth, their fillings, and how we can actually help them. If you then need a crown to protect a tooth, or if you've got missing teeth and you need a bridge to replace those teeth, then rather than take the conventional impressions, we can then use the scanner and take a 3D image computerized to make all the work in the laboratory. And finally, if you've got crooked teeth and you want to straighten them, then we can take a scan before we start, and within a short space of time show you a computer-generated simulation to show how your final outcome will be even before you have your braces. So if you want to have comfortable dental care and have long-lasting results and benefit from the most innovative dental technology, then call us to have a 3D scan at Smile Design by Ash on 0208 5000 544.
I've been a patient of Ash's for some time, and I've had a range of treatments, and of course many of these have included having x-rays. Well, we all know about that horrible stuff in your mouth, makes you feel awful and makes you want to gag. Very unpleasant. This new piece of kit is the best thing I've seen, much more comfortable and less stressful all round, and you get a chance to see what's happening with your teeth and your dental care going forward. Now, with my veneers, I've got the smile I never knew I could have. Ash is a great dentist, and I know I'm in good hands.
Okay, so if I can have the questions page come up, please, my friend, so I can just, so before we do that, so can we just go back to that presentation? Yeah. Sorry. Okay, here we are. So very briefly, just to end this, my academy is that's the website, the academy by ash.co.uk. So any dentist that wants to have a look at the sort of things I do. I do hands-on courses, and one of the most unique ways that I like teaching is actually practically and hands-on. So I find dentists, that's the best way to learn. I also go through a lot of coaching and training on ethical selling with high integrity. In our practice, we have case acceptance rate of over 90%. Whether someone needs like 5,000 treatment, 10, 20,000, whatever, because of the systems we use and the support from my team and the way we have the new patient experience, this is something really quite special in our practice. Obviously, as a cosmetic dentist, we do a lot of simple things, medium, more complex things. So in the courses we go through everything in detail, photography, lasers, and lots more. So that's just a very brief thing on the academy. So I'd like to thank you all very much for tuning in and listening to this webinar. And I'd like to maybe just answer some of the questions now. So if I can have the questions being made bigger. So the first question, guest number 2, TRIOS is a big investment for me. How long might it take me to get a full return of investment? Any advice? Okay, good question. When I purchase something, I try and get ROI, as in return of investment. Now, if you buy something and you just leave it and don't use it, obviously, so it's not a good thing. But a scanner is something that's going to not only enhance the quality of your dentistry, but it's going to be impressive in terms of technology, and it's definitely heading digital. I predict within 3 to 5 years, most dentists, at least 50% of dentists, will be using scanners, and you will see the sales of impression materials start plummeting and going down. So the question is, when do you go in? If at the moment you have to buy other things, like say if you came on one of my courses, I'll say to you, right, you need a digital SLR camera, you need maybe to consider a soft tissue laser. So there may be a long shopping list of things to buy, or you may want to invest in yourself in doing training and courses so you get better as a dentist. So unfortunately, we have to plan and budget what you want to spend your money on, depending on your goals and the vision you have for your practice. But certainly, if you're a principal of a practice and you're a progressive practice and you've been thinking like I was to get a scanner, then you've got to take the move. I mean, you'll be up to about £30, 30,000 or whatever. I don't know the exact price of this scanner is, but really invest in it and finance it. Financing is really going to make it affordable because you don't have to pay like big lumps of money. So the big ticket items will be a sort of scanner or even additional equipment like a hard tissue laser. These are the expensive things. So I can't tell you how long it may take you to get a full return of investment, because if you start getting bigger cases and you start getting patients to say yes to treatment and you start doing bigger cases, then I suppose you'll pay off for it within a year or two. But I actually haven't analyzed exactly how long it will take me to pay off for it. All I know is that it's definitely something I wanted about a year ago, and I'm glad I've got it, and having got it, I will not look back and not have it. In fact, the next question is, how many can you get more scanners as you get bigger as a practice and you've got more associates, whatever? You know, one scanner, you'll all be fighting for it. So sometimes me and my colleague Luke, we both want the scanner, and I just have to wait around, or he has to wait around until the other person uses it. Does that help? I hope that answers the question. If you can afford it, then go for it. The move is a good one. But look at other companies. I mean, you should look at the iTero, you should look at the CareScreen, and that's about the main companies that I know about. But like I said, you definitely do your research, do the demonstrations, look at the pros and cons, look at the deals that they might be able to give you, and then make a decision which one to go for. Any other questions? Okay, that's good. Only one question. Any more questions from any speakers or any of the guests on this thing? Okay. So my mobile is 0797 129 1180. If anyone has any questions, feel free to give me a call. Otherwise, I'm going to give you the Henry Schein number. That's where I bought my scanner from. The service and support is excellent. If you make a note of this number, it's 0800 028 1533. So that's 0800 028 1533. Their email is sales@henryschein.co.uk, sales@henryschein.co.uk. Ask to have demonstration of, say, the 3-shape and begin your research and just see it for yourself. That's the best way, I think. So if there are no other questions, then I'd like to thank everyone once again for their time in listening to this webinar. I hope you found it useful, and good luck in your digital journey in dentistry. Thank you very much.